due to the enhancement of the energy pulse gun's firepower. Even though these void demons possessed bodily strength far beyond the same rank, with quite formidable combat power, they were merely a one-shot deal under first-rank firepower. This significantly increased the speed at which Song Kai and the 10 Fire Peony Soldier figurines cleared out these void demons. Whoosh! 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 Under the onslaught of energy pulse rays, one after another, the zero-rank void demons were consecutively killed. Their bodies fell from the sky, crashing against the hemispherical light screen of the spectral energy protective array, before sliding down and piling up around the Zutian ruins market. Sizzling. Hearing the intense corrosion sound coming from the protective light screen, Song Chi's brows furrowed tightly. This was caused by the black blood dripping from inside the void demons onto the light screen. This black blood flowing through their bodies was extremely hot and highly corrosive, severely depleting the shield value of the spectral energy protective array. Faced with this situation, Song Kai found himself without a method to counter it for the moment. To push back these void demons, they had to kill a large number of them, but as soon as they made an attack, this highly corrosive blood was inevitable, an irreconcilable contradiction. 20,878 40,000ths. Glancing at the defense value of the spectral energy formation and seeing it about to drop below 20,000 points, Song Kai grew increasingly anxious. The Kang Chong, having successfully advanced to first rank and equipped with the orange energy shield component, indeed had a shocking combat power. Facing an attack from dozens of first rank and hundreds of zero-rank void demons, it was still able to counter and kill triple-digit numbers of void demons. But as the saying goes, even strength has its limits. After enduring for nearly half an hour amidst the encirclement of hundreds of void demons, even the dark matter energy shield generator, however powerful, had dimmed to an extreme. The shield value had plummeted below 10%, teetering on the edge of a complete overload. Yet even so, Song Kai could not allow it to retreat back into the ruins market. Once the Kang Chong pulled back, without its attraction, the more than 500 void demons outside would immediately turn their aggression towards the Zutian ruins market. And the spectral energy formation, with its defense value about to drop below 20,000 points, would absolutely not withstand the collective assault of these massive numbers of demons. Damn it, I must think of something. If this continues, the Kang Chong is likely to sink here, Song Kai roared inwardly. The computing power of his mind was pushed to the limit, but he still couldn't find any countermeasures. All his cards were nearly played. Could he just conjure up more out of thin air? To make matters worse, due to the continuous overconsumption of his spiritual focus for more than half an hour, now Song Chi's own form was somewhat unstable. He had to remotely control the Kang Chong to attack and evade, command a group of Fire Peony Soldier figurines to attack, take aim again and again with the energy pulse gun in his hand, and now he had to earnestly consider further strategies. All of these tasks required him alone to operate and consider. Simple bifurcation of the mind was completely insufficient. Bearing the faint throbbing pain emerging in his mind, Song Kai gritted his teeth and persevered. At this moment, he was longing for the brief foray into the limit-breaking state he had stumbled upon before. If he could temporarily enter the threefold mind utilization state, he would not be in such disarray. Unfortunately, the previous 2 times were just luck. He happened to enter a limit-breaking state and had not truly mastered the skill. Half an hour of intense mental focus did not enable him to find that limit-breaking sensation again. It was merely a pity. Pausing slightly with the energy pulse gun raised in his hand, Song Kai took out 2 energy grenades from behind him. Before the last exploration of the alien star domain, he had bought a total of 5, using 3 during the transaction with the brain-eating race's ultra-wave hive mind strange object. Only the 2 in his hands remained. Spotting a location gathered with over 20 zero-rank and first-rank void demons, he threw 1 energy grenade with all his strength. The energy grenade traced a straight line through the void and landed precisely in the midst of a group of more than 20 void demons. Boom! After a powerful first-rank explosion, the 20 or so void demons were immediately decimated, with only a few outer perimeter 0-rank demons and 3 lucky 1st-rank demons surviving. This single energy grenade directly killed 15 0-rank void demons. Following a brief moment of triumph, one piece of bad news after another swiftly followed. Outside the ruins market, the Kongchong's energy shield had completely overloaded. Attacks from the surrounding void demons began to strike directly onto the airship's warship armor, damaging both the armor and the ship itself. Inside the ruins market, the spectral energy formation's shield value officially dropped below 20,000, and under the corrosive influence of the void demon's scorching black blood, the speed of the shield value's depreciation became even more terrifying. Song Chi's heart sank to the bottom. At this rate, without even repelling the group of void demons, the spectral energy formation would shatter first, and the entire ruins market would be entirely overrun. Although he was the master of the Zutian ruins market and could wield the power of laws of this ruins market secret realm, his power was limited to internal use only and could not be employed in external combat. And once the spectral energy formation was broken, the balance of the entire secret realm would also be destroyed, and the laws of the secret realm space would fall into disarray. By then, it would be impossible to control them to deal with the void demons that had breached into the market. It was almost a checkmate, a situation that seemed impossible to salvage no matter what. At this juncture, a thought that Song Kai had never entertained before started to surface in his mind. He knew he had to start considering his own escape route. If Zutian ruins market could not be defended, he surely wouldn't stay and be buried with it. The Chengxing Principality was vast, the Torch human civilization even larger, and the shattered starry sea was boundless. There were many more things out there waiting for him to personally experience, to witness, and to pursue. Having arrived in this tumultuous starry sea era, he wished to live another 200 years, 300 years, 600 years, or even 1,000. How could he be willing to die silently in this void without any fame? Countless thoughts surged through Song Chi's mind and, ultimately, he summoned the Kongchong back to his side. If the Zutian ruins market was destined to be destroyed, then naturally, he would not allow the Kongchong to sink here as well. Without the Zutian ruins market, all he could rely on in the future was the Kongchong. As long as the Kongchong was still there, with the orange dark matter energy shield generator, and the purple brainwave remote control system, components loaded on it, he had the confidence to carve out a niche in the world. At the very least, he wouldn't be completely obscure. With this thought, Song Chi's mind shifted, and the Kongchong above, receiving the brainwave signals, turned around and forcefully returned to the interior of the ruins market. Looking at the reaction of the external void demons, as expected, once the Kongchong returned to the ruins market, their targets instantly shifted entirely to Zutian ruins market. Hum hum hum. The spectral energy formation's defensive light screen trembled violently, and beneath layer upon layer of ripples, the shield value descended at an indescribable speed. P.S. Aiming for the top 3 in the rankings next week. I hope everyone can keep up with the readings these few days, much appreciated. ******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* 60, 40,000 and 17,140 thousandths every half minute, the shield value would drop by 1,000 points. At this pace, it wouldn't take 10 minutes for the spectral energy formation to be completely destroyed. And without the protection of the spectral energy formation, the destruction of the ruins market, in the face of a group of extremely bloodthirsty void demons, would be but the blink of an eye. Song Kai quickly retracted the Kongchong into his ancestral torch, reluctantly sweeping his gaze around him. Just as he completed his survey, determined to exit the ruins market the next moment, the vibrating sensation underfoot that had been constant suddenly ceased. Song Chi's gaze flickered in surprise. Is this? The ruins market has successfully advanced? In that instant, Song Chi's mood was like a thunderstorm in June. One moment dark clouds filled the sky, and the next, the clouds parted and the sun shone through after the rain. In his excitement, he didn't forget to confirm his speculation and immediately opened the ruins market's attribute panel. Name: Zutian Ruins Market, Ruins Market Master. Song Kai. Level. LV10. Confirming that the Ruins Market had indeed advanced to LV10, Song Kai could no longer suppress the excitement in his heart and burst out laughing. To think, from the time he successfully linked to Zutian Ruins Market with the Star C Ruin Market rank until today, it had been just over 2 months, and he had only opened the market for trade 3 times. During this period, he not only obtained an orange glory quality component but also a purple component plus the Goldrock ship armor, a white component. In just 2 months, the benefits had already reached such a terrifying level. One could imagine how much he had struggled internally with the decision to give up on the Zutian Ruins Market. At this moment, it was the complete opposite. The more distressed and tormented he had felt before, the more excited and thrilled he was now. After a good laugh, Song Kai, who had turned his attention back, didn't even bother to check the specific attributes of the newly advanced Zutian Ruins Market and immediately opened the configuration for the Spectral Energy Protective Array. Having reviewed the detailed attributes of the Spectral Energy Protective Array, a look of confirmation appeared in his eyes. Although the level of the Spectral Energy Protective Array was still LV9, with the Zutian Ruins Market itself advancing to the first rank, its basic configuration, like that of the Torch warship, had seen a fixed percentage increase in attributes, also 20%. The original defense and shield values of the Spectral Energy Protective Array were as follows. Defense. 500. Shield value. 3,840 thousandths, but with the successful advancement of the Ruins Market, these two figures had respectively become Defense. 600. Shield value. 11,800, 48,000. And the key point was that the shield value was not only increased by 20% in its maximum capacity but even the shield value that had been only 3,800 points was instantly boosted to 11,800, allowing it to hold out for several more minutes. Having realized this, Song Kai summoned the Kongchong warship back and, with a thought, glanced over the component of the Dark Matter Energy Shield Generator. Post-overload buffer time. 8/35 minutes. The Orange Energy Shield component, enhanced to LV15, had a buffer time of 35 minutes after overload. Now, 8 minutes had already passed, and in just 27 more minutes, it would be reactivated. Seeing this, a glint of hope rekindled in Song Chi's eyes. The success of the Zutian Ruins Market's upgrade gave him hope that he could fully repel those void demons outside and safeguard the market. As long as the Spectral Energy Protective Array could hold on for another 20+ minutes, when the Kongchong's energy shield was reactivated, the warship could once again enter combat. Basing on the previous combat achievements, assuming no new void demons appeared, the Kongchong should be able to eliminate over 90% of the remaining 500+ void demons before the Dark Matter Energy Shield Generator overloaded a second time. By then, even without the fire support of the Kongchong, Song Kai and the 10 Fire Peony Soldier figurines could take over the cleanup task, making it highly probable to preserve the Zutian Ruins Market. With this in mind, Song Kai quickly found the right moment to throw out the last energy grenade, killing nearly 10 zero-rank void demons, and then immediately boarded the Kangchong, continuously firing the warship's main and secondary cannons into the sky above the market, to alleviate as much pressure as possible from the Spectral Energy Protective Array. 4 minutes later, when the Spectral Energy Formation's shield value dropped below 4 digits, Song Chi's thoughts shifted, and immediately after, the notification from the Zutian Ruins Market rang in his ears. Do you confirm spending 150 strands of zero-rank floating land origin to upgrade the Spectral Energy Protective Array to LV10? Confirm. Whoosh. The very moment the Spectral Energy Protective Array's configuration was upgraded to LV10, the semicircular light screen over the market shimmered for a moment. Seeing its defensive and shield values, Song Kai inwardly exclaimed in delight. Defense. 1200. Shield value. 120,000 120 thousandths. The defense value jumped from the previous 600 to 1200, and the shield value skyrocketed from 48,000 points to 120,000 points. What excited Song Kai even more was that the shield value, which had only a few hundred points left previously, was fully restored to its peak condition after the upgrade. A formidable 120,000 points. Enduring the remaining 23 minutes would be a certainty. Phew. His breathing gradually calmed down, and only then did Song Kai finally allow himself to relax completely. Yet he didn't cease his attacks. While the protective light screen was no longer in danger, killing one more void demon would lessen the burden on the soon-to-be reactivated Kang Chong. Time slowly passed in this way. After countless rounds of attacks and not knowing exactly how many, as soon as the component of the dark matter energy shield generator on the Kang Chong finished buffering, he immediately controlled the warship to dash out of the market. With the Kang Chong moving away from the market, the actions of the 10 Fire Peony soldier figurines became noticeably sluggish, even freezing in place, unable to move at times. However, there was no choice. The brainwave remote control system's duration had ended, requiring a lengthy 6 hours to buffer completely, so Song Kai had to take the field himself. Fortunately, with the current first-rank spectral energy formation's shield value, even without the manual clearance by the Fire Peony soldier figurines, it could last for a sufficiently long time. No longer needing to divide his attention to control the Fire Peony soldier figurines, Song Kai, who focused solely on the Kang Chong, was clearly at ease. The result was that this time the warship cleared the void demons even faster. In less than 20 minutes, and even without waiting for the second overload of the dark matter energy shield generator component, the remaining hundreds of void demons were entirely eradicated. Looking at the hundreds of blue-black corpses around the Zutian ruins market, an inexplicable urge to cry welled up in Song Chi's heart. Not out of sadness but rather the impulse to weep from the exhilaration of surviving a calamity, which quickly turned into deep joy and relief. Once the strange feelings in his heart had settled, Song Kai began to control the Kang Chong, roaming around the outskirts of the Zutian ruins market, using the airship's traction beam to quickly collect the corpses of those void demons. Textbooks have often mentioned that these void demons, upon death, congeal a special crystal within their bodies, which encompasses the void energy they've absorbed throughout their lives in the void space, known as void crystals. Due to their extreme rarity, the value of these void crystals is exceptionally high. It's said that the enhancement of all spaceborne components requires these void crystals. Bearing this in mind, within the realms of Torch human civilization, the price of void crystals has been driven to extraordinary heights, having reached a point where one 0-rank void crystal can be exchanged for a strand of first-rank floating land origin, and one first-rank void crystal can be exchanged for a strand of second-rank floating land origin. At the moment, the bodies of these over 1,000 void demons are evidently a vast fortune, which is why Song Kai didn't waste any time and began gathering these corpses immediately. Dozens of minutes later, once the collection was nearly complete, Song Kai maneuvered the Kangchong back into the ruins market. Without hurrying to check the specific attributes of the Zutian ruins market, he instead employed his ability as the ruins market lord, fully mobilizing the power of laws within the market and pushing the Zutian ruins market to move toward the distance. The commotion caused by the recent battle wasn't insignificant, and the scent of fresh blood left by the deaths of thousands of void demons was very dense. If he didn't move far from this void space quickly, he feared more void demons would be drawn by the disturbance and find them again. As long as the Zutian ruins market moved away from this area, its averting misfortune feature would be able to come into effect again, and they wouldn't have to worry about other void demons tracking them down. He didn't know how much time had passed, but once Song Kai felt they had drifted far enough, he prepared to dissipate the power of laws and bring the market to a halt. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. However, the sound of something cutting through the air that followed made him tense up suddenly. When he turned his head to see the source of the attack, he breathed a sigh of relief. Outside the ruins market's protective light screen, a group of void demons, unbeknownst to him, had caught up again. This group was not large, consisting of only a dozen or so, with just one being of first rank, posing no real threat to the market. Song Kai quickly disposed of these 10+ void demons and collected the void crystals from their bodies, Then he once more took control and moved the Zutian ruins market. Having been found by the void demons once again, it was evident that this place was not safe, so naturally, he wouldn't let the market stay here. In the hours that followed, Song Kai began a cycle of operations, where each time the Zutian ruins market stopped at a location, they would encounter a small group of void demons. He would defeat them and then continue moving. After 4 consecutive times, Song Kai felt that something was off. To call it a coincidence was too far-fetched, given that in the tens of thousands of years before, the ruins market's secret realm was never discovered by these void demons. According to the averting misfortune feature of the Zutian ruins market, except for the brightness generated during the market's implementation that attracted the attention of void demons, the subsequent encounters should not have occurred. Could it be that the averting misfortune feature has really stopped working? With this doubt in mind, he didn't immediately move away. Instead, he opened the attribute panel of the market to see if he could discover anything. The next second, when the attribute panel of the market appeared before him, Song Kai suddenly realized what was happening. It was neither a coincidence nor a failure of the averting misfortune feature. On the contrary, the problem lay with the Zutian ruins market itself. Name: Zutian ruins market master, Song Kai. Level: LV10. Specifications: 1000 mx 1000 meters, basic configuration, 50 shops, 1 stall area of 200 meters by 200 meters, 1 2-story inn, with 51 guest rooms, 1 LV9 all attributes cultivation room, efficiency doubles when cultivating spectral energy, 1 LV10 spectral energy protection formation, 1 LV9 ultra long distance space gate, random deployment platform. Additional configuration: None, 0/6. Feature: averting misfortune, able to move freely within the void, mysteriously avoiding natural disasters. Feature 2. Spatial anchor point, 1/1, negative status, first rank demon mark. Up rank requirement: 50 strands of first rank floating land origin, 100,000 strands of 0 rank floating land origin from ruins market transactions, 89,560 100,000ths. Song Chi's gaze bypassed everything else, settling directly on the negative status section. As he focused his attention, a detailed description of the attribute soon popped up. First rank demon mark. A mark laid down by several first rank void demons, which when other void demons are within a certain range, automatically sense this special mark. Damn it, I was wondering why it was such a coincidence. It's because of this. Swearing to himself in his mind, Song Kai then started to feel a headache coming on. With this mark present, tranquility for the Zutian ruins market in the future was out of the question. Because of this mark, the market's feature of averting misfortune was basically nullified. Think about it, if someone placed a tracker on you, would hiding still be of any use? No good. I must get rid of this mark as soon as possible, even if it's just a temporary concealment, or else the ruins market, which was so difficult to preserve, may soon face the same situation again. And this commotion caused by the market's great rank-up rank must also be addressed. Muttering to himself, Song Chi's recently relaxed brows furrowed once again. The demon mark goes without saying, it's a pressing matter. And the commotion during the market's great rank-up rank is just as important to pay attention to. After all, the market has just advanced to first rank, there's still a long way to go. It can't be that every single advancement in the future has to be carried out in such a heart-pounding way, can it? Glancing out of the corner of his eye at the pile of crystals beside him, Song Kai felt a bit more pleased despite his somber mood. After a recent inventory, it was confirmed that there were 1230 void crystals, among which there were 11050 rank void crystals and 125 first rank void crystals. Based on the normal exchange rates within the territories of Torch human civilization, this amounted to 1105 strands of first rank floating land origin plus 125 strands of second rank floating land origin. The moment he got the result, Song Kai actually had the idea to use this demon mark as bait to continuously attract small groups of void demons to hunt, thereby obtaining a steady stream of void crystals. But he quickly dismissed the idea. This method could indeed make money quickly, but likewise, the risk factor was very high. Who could guarantee that the void demons attracted by the demon mark would always be low rank? What if a high-rank demon was lured in? What if the ones attracted were a demon army of tens of thousands, including a large number of first and second-rank void demons? All these uncertainties made Song Kai dismiss the notion outright. With the ruins market, he could easily and steadily acquire various resources every month. Why should he engage in such life-risking acts? Although anxious at heart, Song Kai quickly shifted his attention to the Zutian ruins market itself, as he was extremely curious about the changes after its advancement. Previously, due to his focus on the matter of the demon mark, he had only taken a casual look, yet he remembered clearly that a new feature had appeared on the attributes panel of the market. This one change alone was enough to make one itch with anticipation. Opening up the market's attributes panel once again, Song Kai started to carefully examine the changes within. His gaze skipped over the first 3 sections and landed on the specification item. After advancing to the first rank, the area of the Zutian ruins market soared to a size of 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters, and the number of shops increased to 50. The stall area expanded to 200 meters by 200 meters, and even the inn, which had never seemed to serve any purpose, had grown from 1 to 2 floors. These were undoubtedly all good news. The expansion of the market's area not only meant that more beings could enter with each market trade in the future but also implied that Song Chi's super private storage space capacity had further increased, allowing him to store even more resources in the future. For this purpose, Song Kai specially used the power of laws to section off a 20 meters by 20 meters enclosed area within the stall zone. This enclosed space would become the exclusive storage for the floating land mining carts and the various resources collected in the future. That way, he wouldn't have to worry about where to store the 2 floating land mining carts and the gathered resources every time he opened the market. This area was sufficient to store a large quantity of items. It could even accommodate the Kang Chong, which had advanced to a spectral airship when entirely empty. Near the central street of the market, close to the stall area, was a 2-story inn. Previously, Song Kai had explored the function of this building several times, to no avail. Other than discovering that each guest room slightly sped up spirit recovery, there were no other functions. Upon entering the inn once more, Song Chi's renewed interest wasn't because of the additional number of guest rooms after the market's advancement, but because he noticed that the 51 rooms were not evenly distributed across the first and second floors. There were 50 rooms on the first floor, but only a lonely one on the second floor, an observation that puzzled him. Soon, the 50 rooms on the first floor had been checked one by one, and they were no different from before. So, he climbed up to the second floor. As soon as Song Kai arrived on the second floor, he made an unexpected discovery. The second floor of the inn didn't have just one guest room. Looking down the corridor, it was clear that there were 10 doors of identical dimensions, indicating that the actual number of guest rooms on the second floor was 10. However, only one room was currently open. The other 9 were blocked by some mysterious barrier and had not been unlocked. Even as the ruins market master, he was also barred from entering. His eyes flickering with various speculations, Song Kai ultimately concluded that to continue unlocking the other 9 rooms, he would likely have to wait for future upgrades of the Zutian ruins market. As for whether these rooms had different functions from those on the first floor, that was something he had to experience personally to know. Thinking this, he pushed open the door of the only available guest room on this floor. The moment his feet crossed the threshold, Song Kai suddenly felt a strange realization. This second-floor guest room was completely different from those on the first floor. He could not pinpoint where this feeling came from. After a moment of doubt, his attention quickly shifted away, as his gaze was now drawn to a bronze token floating at the center of the room. The ruin market mystical laws that Song Kai controlled did not issue any warning of danger, so he reached straight out for the bronze token. The moment his palm touched the token, All the information about the bronze token and the room below surfaced in his mind. Name: Ruins Market Guest Token. Belongs to Zutian Ruins Market, Song Kai. Number of uses: 1/1. Effect: the creature that obtains this guest token, regardless of where it is in the shattered starry sea, can consume 1 usage count to activate the token with the Ruins Market Master's consent, and upon activation, the token will transport the activator to the exclusive guest room for a 24-hour stay. The activator will be transported back to their original location with the token either when they choose to return or when the stay ends. Introduction: a product derived from the Zutian Ruins Market, possessing inconceivable abilities. Note: only the Ruins Market Master can replenish the token's number of uses. Note 2. The Ruins Market Master has the right to revoke the token at any time. Ruins Market Guest Token. Murmuring softly, Song Chi's eyes shone, and his heart rate accelerated. Based on the introduction on the Attributes panel, the actual value of the Ruins Market Guest Token must far exceed expectations, allowing other beings multiple entries into the Zutian Ruins Market, not just relying on the elusive luck. Just this feature alone could make creatures who had experienced the convenience and value of the Zutian Ruins Market eager for it. Similarly, as the Ruins Market Master, he could also use this to obtain greater benefits. For instance, if he had had this item a month earlier, he could have handed the token to that Gore before the second market trade ended, granting him the qualification to re-enter the market later. With this, he could have Gore collect more deep water clam pearls for him, ones that were 1,000 years older or even older, or perhaps those rare and precious mermaid's tears. With that thought, Song Kai sighed softly. It was too late for the Ruins Market Guest Token to arrive. Water-based floating lands in the Starry Sea were not common, and it was uncertain when he would encounter such an alien race on a floating land again, one that could stably produce deep water clam pearls. However, it wasn't necessary to just rely on water-based floating lands for aliens. With the vastness of the Starry Sea, there were plenty of floating lands with even rarer resources. As long as there were alien species that could provide a continuous supply of a valuable resource, he could consider giving out this Ruins Market Guest Token. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Song Kai stepped out of the inn once more. The allocation of the Ruins Market Guest Tokens would undoubtedly be strict and not something that could be done in a short time. Of course, he would not distribute them lightly. As it stood, there were only 10 guest rooms on the second floor of the inn, meaning there could be at most 10 Ruins Market Guest Tokens, each needing to be given out with caution. Aside from nurturing the Ruins Market Guest Tokens, the function of those guest rooms was also to serve as the sole space node for the holders of the guest tokens to enter and leave the Ruins Market, a transfer station, so to speak. Few. Suppressing the joy and excitement in his heart, Song Kai continued to examine the other changes in the Ruins Market. Still in the basic configuration section, after experiencing the inn's brand new functions, Song Chi's attention shifted to the All Attributes Cultivation Room and the Ultra-Long Distance Space Gate Random Deployment Platform. Like the Spectral Energy Protective Array before, even though their levels hadn't changed and were still LV9, the effects of these two configurations had also improved to a certain extent. The original LV9 All Attributes Cultivation Room provided a 580% boost to spectral energy cultivation, but now it had become 700%, far surpassing the spectral energy cultivation platforms of the same level. As for the Ultra-Long Distance Space Gate Random Deployment Platform, its duration and buffer times hadn't changed, only the number of spatial gates deployed each time increased from 19 to 23. It might seem like only 4 extra gates, but this was already the LV9 platform, and next, Song Kai was going to further enhance it. The LV9 All Attributes Cultivation Room and the Ultra-Long Distance Space Gate Random Deployment Platform both had the same up-rank requirements to advance. Not only did the Ruins Market itself have to reach LV10, but they also needed 150 strands of zero-rank floating land origin. Taking out 300 strands of zero-rank floating land origin, Song Kai successively upgraded both to LV10. Name: All Attributes Cultivation Room, Level, LV10. Effect: When first-rank beings cultivate in the cultivation room, their cultivation speed increases by 480%. When the cultivator engages in spectral energy cultivation, the speed increases by 960%. Up-rank requirement: Ruins Market Level LV11, 25 strands of floating land origin, first rank. Name: Ultra Long Distance Space Gate Random Deployment Platform. Level: LV10. Effect: Once activated, it randomly deploys 36 spatial gates throughout the shattered starry sea that allow entrance and exit to the Ruins Market, with each spatial gate lasting for 24 hours and a buffer of 720 hours. Up-rank requirement: Ruins Market Level LV11, 25 strands of floating land origin, first rank. The enhancement of the All Attributes Cultivation Room to the Spectral Energy Guidance Technique had reached a staggering 960%, and the number of spatial gates the Ultra Long Distance Space Gate Random Deployment Platform could deploy had increased to 36. Seeing these two sets of data, Song Kai finally closed the attribute panel in front of him with satisfaction. His gaze then shifted downward, eventually settling on the newly appeared feature. There wasn't much to say about the additional configurations section, which still remained empty, with only 2 more slots available. Song Kai had previously tested that these extra configuration slots could accommodate all the special components compatible with the Torch warship, but he currently didn't have any spares. Moreover, because of the Averting Misfortune feature, he hadn't thought he needed to equip anything previously. But after the incident with the Void Demons, special components that could either clear negative states or conceal anomalies in the Ruins Market had been added to his list of items to search for urgently. With his gaze lingering, the detailed attributes of the newly emerged Spatial Anchor Point feature quickly surfaced in front of Song Kai. Feature: Spatial Anchor Point. Designate a specific coordinate in the actual starry sea as the anchor point for Zutian Ruins Market. Subsequently, as long as this anchor point is activated, no matter where the Ruins Market owner enters the Ruins Market from, upon leaving they will only appear at the anchor point's coordinates. Song Chi's eyes lit up again. The effect of this spatial anchor point feature was simple. It provided a precise transport coordinate for Zutian Ruins Market. As long as this coordinate was activated, no matter from where you entered the Ruins Market, you could use this transport coordinate to leave. This might still be hard to understand, so let's use a simple example. If Song Kai were to set this spatial anchor point in his own bedroom, then even if he was in a far-off alien star domain, as long as he entered the Ruins Market, he could choose to actively trigger this anchor point. This would allow the anchor point set in his bedroom to serve as his returning point after leaving the Ruins Market. In doing so, he wouldn't even need to use the spectral airship's own return function to effortlessly return home from the distant alien star domain. After completely understanding this spatial anchor point feature, the first use that came to Song Chi's mind wasn't related to deploying it in the alien star domain, but instead, he wanted to use this special function to assist his subsequent shipments. His haul from the alien star domain always surpassed that of an average person, but because he was afraid of exposing Zutian Ruins Market, he could only sell most of his haul at 65% of market price through the black market, almost halving his profits. This had always greatly annoyed Song Kai. Why should he let people take a 35% cut for free from the resources he painstakingly brought back from the alien star domain? In contrast, if he sold through a regular store and had a substantial quantity of resources, it wouldn't be a problem to push the purchase price to 90% of market value, which was much more economical than selling on the black market. However, this would involve the risk of exposing his identity. It was because of this limitation that he had reluctantly chosen the black market channel previously. But now things were different. With the new spatial anchor point feature, as long as he set the anchor point coordinates in his own bedroom, all these problems could be practically solved. By concealing his identity and selling the haul to regular stores, then entering the ruins market from a deserted place with his earnings and subsequently returning directly home through the spatial anchor point. Just like that, it was simple. Even if someone took notice or followed him, they'd have no starting point for their investigation. The more Song Kai thought about it, the more feasible it seemed. It just so happened that a recent ruins market trade had left him with a stockpile of differential resources, perfect for a trial run. If it proved viable, the over 1,000 void crystals could also be sold without a trace. Thinking about the floating land origins he could obtain after selling more than 1,000 void crystals, Song Kai even anticipated the scene of enhancing the dark matter energy shield generator component all the way to second rank. The very thought was exhilarating. With the current LV-15 dark matter energy shield generator component already being so impressive, once it reached second rank, it would undoubtedly become even more formidable. Putting thoughts into action, Song Kai quickly scanned the remaining sections of the ruins market attribute panel and finally paused for a moment on the up-rank requirement section. To upgrade from ruins market LV-10 to LV-11, while the requirement of 50 strands of first-rank floating land origin was manageable, as once the void crystals were sold, there would be plenty of first-rank floating land origin. The difficult part was the trading volume of 100,000 strands of zero-rank floating land origin. As trades didn't account for bartering, the total trading volume from the previous 3 transactions hadn't even reached 90,000. To continue increasing the level of the ruins market, he would have to wait until after the next market trade. Song Kai wasn't in a rush. The priority was to find a way to acquire the special components that could clear negative states and to dispose of the differential resources and void crystals as soon as possible. The level of the ruins market itself could be raised later, but if the demon mark issue wasn't resolved promptly, there might not be a future for Zutian ruins market at all. White Tower Floating Land, Beihai City. As one of the 5 major cities under the jurisdiction of White Tower Floating Land, Beihai City had developed for a longer time than Zhongyuan City, a fact evident from the respective population sizes of the 2 cities. Now, with a total population exceeding 25 million, Beihai City was second only to Baita City among the 5 cities of White Tower Floating Land. In the city center of Beihai City, Beihai Torch City, the medium-sized Blaze Market was the most prosperous commercial area. The number of merchant shops in Blaze Market far exceeded those in Dongjiang Mall. Struggling to squeeze through the crowd, Song Qi's face bore a hint of helplessness. After awakening the seed of Torch, this was truly his first time experiencing the feeling of being packed like sardines. The key issue was that most of the people around him were practitioners of the guidance technique with not low levels, possessing physical strength far beyond that of ordinary people, making the jostling truly a literal flesh-to-flesh experience, which was quite uncomfortable. However, there was no helping it, as the mall's official rules strictly prohibited the use of spectral energy inside the premises, so everyone had to comply. Yet this suited his intentions perfectly. He specifically chose to come to Beihai City during the peak of the crowd and selected the highly popular Beihai Mall because this was the result he wanted. The more customers there were, and the denser the crowd, the easier it was to sow confusion and make a quiet exit using the ruins market after selling off all his materials. Instead of going to the top floor, Song Kai chose the middle and lower floors where people were more numerous. Inside a medium-sized shop named Tro's Mechanical Home, Song Kai summoned the Kang Chong at the Torch warship's designated docking area. Its span had expanded to nearly 20 meters after being upgraded to a spectral airship, so he could load all the resources he purchased at the trade fair onto the ship in one trip, saving him quite a bit of trouble. 50 tons of mithril plus 10 tons of zhenjin plus 215 millennium ice crystals plus 200 tons of uranium ore. As one type of material after another was unloaded from the airship, the shop's staff quickly tallied the quantities of each resource. Once all the differentials bought in the ruins market were offloaded, an employee rapidly calculated their value and reported it. "Sir, the market value of these resources you provided is 2,480 strands of zero-rank floating land origin. Based on the 70% purchase price, that would be 1,736 strands. If you have no objections." Before the clerk beside him could finish, Song Kai cut him off. 70% of the market value for purchase? Isn't that a bit low? In his view, 2,500 strands of zero-rank floating land origin was not a small sum, and a reduction to 70% was excessively low. However, the clerk didn't seem to think so. He pursed his lips, and his smile remained unchanged, but Song Kai could see a hint of indifference in his eyes, showing that he did not take Song Chi's words seriously. Song Kai frowned, feeling inwardly displeased but not saying much else. He instead began to gather the spectral energy within his body at his throat. The mall's regulations prohibited using spectral energy to fight, but using it to summon torch warships, amplify his own voice, or enhance his hearing was not restricted. As he opened his mouth, a resonant shout suddenly rang throughout the entire shop. "Is the manager here?" Because he had deliberately altered his voice, the words he spoke sounded particularly hoarse, catching the attention of all the customers in the shop. In front of him, the male clerk who had maintained a superficial smile until now suddenly looked stern, and his tone became elevated. "Sir, please don't disturb the shopping experience of other customers. If you cannot accept our store's purchase price, you are welcome to try other shops." With a mask hiding his expression, onlookers could not discern Song Chi's feelings, but his complexion visibly darkened. Without saying anything further, he turned and headed toward the store exit. Given such poor service, he lost any desire to stay a moment longer. What he had were void crystals, considered rare resources. Why bother insisting on trading here when he could go elsewhere? As for showing off and putting someone in their place, sorry, but he had no desire to show off in front of someone who hadn't even awakened their seed of torch. However, just as he was turning away, he was called by the shop manager who had appeared unexpectedly. Judging by the manager's dark expression, this was probably not the first time he had encountered such a situation. Making such a basic mistake over and over yet still being allowed to stay suggested the identity of the young clerk. It was very likely that he was a relative, perhaps the manager's nephew or grandson. "Sir, I am truly sorry for our poor hospitality. To show our apologies, we are willing to purchase all the materials you have provided at market price, without any sort of discount." Upon hearing this, Song Kai paused. With market price purchasing, he could make quite a bit more, so there was no need to hold a grudge against money. Moreover, the young clerk was already apologizing under the stern gaze of the manager. Considering these factors, he decided to stop and stay. In a guest room within Tro's mechanical home, Song Kai and the manager were sitting together. After a brief chat, Song Kai gathered some basic information about the white manager sitting beside him. His name was Rock Tros and he was a member of the Tros family from Beihai City. The earlier young clerk turned out to be his sister's son, who was on vacation and said to be gaining life experience. As expected, Song Kai thought to himself. He might not have known much about Beihai City, but he was familiar with several of the top forces there. The Tros family was indeed one of the several prominent forces in Beihai City, which explained the young clerk's attitude. After a brief chat, he got to the main topic. Reaching behind him, he soon had a crystal the size of a thumb in his palm. Void crystal. Upon seeing the crystal in Song Chi's palm, Rock Tros exclaimed, and even with his nearly a century of experience, he seemed a bit flustered. No wonder, as void crystals were extremely rare. Though they had limited uses, seemingly required only for the enhancement of space-class warship components, their scarcity was the issue. After verifying the zero-rank void crystal, Rock Tros asked in a deep voice. Perhaps sensing that there might have been an issue with what he had just said, Rock Tros quickly added another line. No matter how many void crystals you have in your hands, the Tros mechanical family will take them all, including the batch of supplies you had before, all at the normal market price. Song Kai smiled, not at all surprised by this response. As someone who had received a formal education, he was well aware of the value of the void crystals. The fact that the other party was buying at market price didn't mean there was no profit to be made. Market price represented the average selling price, the price under normal sales conditions. Given the rarity of the void crystals, it wasn't difficult to find an eager buyer, and such urgent buying orders were naturally not going to be at the normal market price, with an excess of 20 or 30% being quite common. Even encountering captains in extreme urgency who would be willing to pay double was not out of the question. However, such matters would obviously require time to find the right buyer and could not be resolved immediately, so selling at market price was already the best choice for Song Kai. However, he didn't rush to reveal the number of void crystals he had on hand but instead asked another question in a hoarse voice. "We can discuss the details of the purchase slowly, but I want to ask, shop manager Rock, does your store sell those shipboard components that remove negative status? Or even just information on such components would suffice?" Rock Tros fell into contemplation, not replying immediately, his gaze flickering as he seemed to be lost in thought. One thing Song Kai could be certain of was that among the problems Rock was considering, there was definitely one about what negative status his flagship had contracted. After about 5 seconds, Rock Tros finally spoke, but the news he gave was not promising. "Shipboard components that remove negative states are not available in my store, however. I do have a piece of information." But then his tone took an abrupt turn, recapturing Song Chi's curiosity. "What news?" Seeing no response from the other party, Song Kai quickly realized the situation and took out 200 zero-rank void crystals from his backpack, placing them on the wooden table between them. Seeing these 200 void crystals, Rock Tros's eyes showed some interest, but he ended up shaking his head and not speaking. Song Kai frowned and, not indulging further, reached out to take back the 200 zero-rank void crystals. At this, Rock Tros, who had seemed quite composed just a moment ago, became somewhat anxious. There were many seeking to buy void crystals, and he didn't dare gamble. He extended his hand to stop him and said at the same time, "I received news the other day that the triennial Beihi auction is about to be held, scheduled for the morning 5 days from now. So what you mean is, this auction will feature shipboard components that clear negative effects, or is that just speculation?" This time, Rock Tros nodded quickly. "Definite. This auction will include one blue quality component capable of purifying negative effects." Under the mask, Song Kai pondered thoughtfully, murmuring to himself, a blue quality component should be enough to cleanse the mark left behind by a first-rank void demon. With a definite answer, Song Kai was in high spirits. "Thank you, manager. Then these 200 zero-rank void crystals and that batch of supplies are sold to your store. But I have one small request. Tell me, could the floating land origin gained from the previous batch of supplies be all exchanged for first rank?" Song Kai asked with sincerity. He already had more than enough zero-rank floating land origins, well over 5,000 strands. Having so many was really of no use. To this request, Luke Tros happily agreed. He had thought Song Kai would make a much more unreasonable demand. Rock Tros was quick to act. Not long after the deal was confirmed, he quickly had someone deliver 448 strands of first-rank floating land origin. After thanking him with a smile, Song Kai soon left the Tros mechanical family and plunged into the crowd. At the Tros mechanical family, Rock Tros's friendly demeanor was gone, and he listened expressionlessly to the report of the towering figure standing behind him. "Manager," the man vanished into the crowd and soon left no trace. "I have searched almost 3 entire floors of the mall and have not found any suspicious individuals." Rock Tros, rubbing a few void crystals in his palm, fell silent for a while before speaking in a cold voice. "Keep looking for me. The old patriarch desperately needs the void crystals, and that man must have more than just those 200. If we can get enough void crystals to the old patriarch, I will have a great chance of taking control of the entire family. You must find this person for me. People the Tros family seeks must be found, alive or dead." As he spoke, Rock Tros's facial expression seemed to contort. The reason he did not take action inside the shop was firstly to avoid affecting the reputation of the Tros family. After all, Beihi Mall was the largest blaze market in Beihi City, and once things got out of hand, even the power of the Tros family would struggle to suppress it. Secondly, he had already notified his men via a covert communication device, and members of his family's secret force were already fully deployed outside the shop. It was deemed almost certain his men could track down the target, and as soon as he left Behi Mall, capturing him would just be a matter of speaking a word. However, this seemingly foolproof plan declared failure shortly after the man left the store. Over 10 people losing track of one individual? It was not hard to imagine how furious Rock Tros felt at that moment. As for these developments, Song Kai, who had already returned home through the Zutian Ruins market, naturally had no knowledge. He had set a spatial anchor point in his bedroom before heading to Behi City, so he returned effortlessly from Behi City to Zhongyuan City. In his bedroom, Song Kai reconnected to the Zutian Ruins market. With 5 days until the Behi auction, he planned to stay in the Ruins market for the time being, not only to prevent further attacks from small squads of void demons but also to acquire more void crystals, and it would also allow him to fully experience the effects of the All Attributes Cultivation Room's substantial 960% bonus. 5 days later, when he stepped out of the cultivation room again, a satisfied look was on Song Chi's face. The significant 960% cultivation boost was indeed extraordinary. Even though Song Chi's guidance technique had just advanced to LV7 not long ago, he could still feel a slight improvement over these 5 days. If it had not been for the appearance of 4 squads of void demons during these days, forcing Song Kai to leave seclusion repeatedly, the cultivation effects might have been even better. Nevertheless, Song Kai had accrued several hundred more void crystals. Subtracting the 200 sold to the Tros house, he still had nearly 1,200 in his possession. P.S. Dear readers, please follow the novel. Whether we can make it onto the 3 rivers list depends on today and tomorrow. Please help. After greeting his parents, Song Kai left his home and found a secluded spot to summon the Kongchong, then headed straight for Behi City. The Blaze Market in Behi City was busier than ever today, as the triennial Behi auction was set to be held today at the Heavenly River Auction Hall, on the top floor of the market. Grim Tros stood below the docking platform of the torch warships at the top floor of the auction hall, his face flushed with excitement and awe. In just half an hour, he had already seen more than 50 spectral airships land one after another on the platform, and looking at those 20-meter-long steel airships wrapped in thick armor, he felt a torrent of emotions inside him. This was what he aspired to in the future. As for cowering in his uncle's shop as a waiter, that was an absolute insult to him. Though his father was not a member of the powerful Tros family, he was a son-in-law who took his surname from his mother, also a member of the formidable Tros family. Far from having any complaints, Grim was glad to be a direct member of the Tros family. As Grim Tros was lost in his thoughts, another spectral airship, almost 20 meters in length, descended from the vault of heaven and landed precisely on the platform ahead, which was over 100 meters in diameter and could support the docking of Guardian-class spectral warships. For a moment, the market's ceremonial guard around the platform once again looked up in unison, welcoming the arrival of the spectral airship whose identity was concealed, and whose body was enveloped in a dark spectral energy shield, making it impossible to discern even the color of its hull armor. Behind him, a look of solemnity instinctively appeared on Grim's face, and his heart tensed slightly. Based on the energy fluctuations emitted by the energy shield on the hull of the airship, it was obvious that the shield components it carried were not the standard spectral shields, and could possibly be of blue quality, since white quality energy shields are hardly capable of emitting such a level of energy fluctuation. And energy shields of at least blue quality, such a level of shield, could play a tremendous role even on those escort ships. Because of this, not only Grim Tros, but many sharp-eyed people also concluded that this spectral airship's origins were anything but ordinary. Song Kai stepped off the Kongchong with a white mask still on his face, though it had become somewhat more humanized compared to 5 days earlier. After retracting the Kongchong into his ancestral aperture on his forehead, he followed a market patron directly to the Heavenly River Auction Hall. There were no so-called tickets. As long as one is a torch warship captain with a spectral airship or above, they automatically qualified to participate in the auction. Song Kai could understand this. With the convenience of the Torch network, an always accessible virtual network for free communication and trading, why would many large markets insist on holding auctions if not to attract more people and make their own market more popular? Why would they turn away high-quality clients like a first-rank torch ship captain? As for those zero-rank torch ship captains who want to enter the auction, I'm sorry, but they must pay an entrance fee of 100 strands of zero-rank floating land origin, which also serves to indirectly raise the standard of the auction. The Heavenly River auction hall was vast, with rows of leather seats arranged in a circle, surrounding the square auction stage in the center. Above the numerous leather seats, there were more than 20 enclosed boxes, specially reserved for second-rank or higher torch ship captains. Song Chi's peripheral vision swept over, and then his expression under the mask turned solemn. At this moment, more than 20 private boxes had lit up with 7, indicating that at least 7 second-rank or higher torch ship captains had arrived at the auction venue. Isn't it said online that the usual auctions in Beihai City only see about 2 or 3 second-rank torch ship captains? Why have so many turned up this time? Muttering to himself, Song Kai found an unoccupied leather seat, sat down, and quietly began to wait. With about half an hour left before the auction was to start, surely more torch ship captains would continue to arrive. It was just uncertain whether more second-rank torch ship captains would come. He closed his eyes and allowed his spirit to sink deep into his mind. Taking advantage of this time, Song Kai prepared to visualize the dragon-spine tyrant whale mythical mech projection. This contemplation diagram was directly related to the future combat power of his Kang Chong when it advanced to a higher class, and he had never slackened his visualization exercises. Whenever he had spare time, he basically devoted it to this task. Even though he had successfully engraved it, and his spiritual force would improve gradually even without deliberate visualization, could that be the same as actively concentrating and visualizing the engraving map? It was because of his regular active visualization that, over the course of 2 months, Song Kai had clearly felt an enhancement in his spiritual aspect, something that the automatic operation of the engraving map could never achieve. Take the battle with the Void Demon a few days ago, for example. Despite exerting all his might to deplete his spiritual force, he managed to hold on for nearly an hour. If it had been right after his awakening, he probably couldn't have lasted even half an hour. If he had let the engraving map run on its own for these 2 months, he guessed he might have held on for at most 40 minutes. That's the difference between being passive and active. As his spiritual force converged on the mech projection image under the engraved map, Song Chi's spiritual force was rapidly depleting, yet in this continuous consumption, his force of spirit was also slowly increasing. Suddenly, a series of exclamations nearby interrupted his visualization. When he opened his eyes, Song Kai quickly understood the reason behind those sounds of surprise. Just now, the 10th second-rank torch ship captain had entered the auction venue. The simultaneous attendance of 10 second-rank torch ship captains at this Tianhe auction was certainly not normal. Could it be that this auction has high-quality ship components, or extremely rare warship enhancement resources? Song Kai pondered thoughtfully, but after failing to come up with a reason, he quickly gave up. He did not attempt to visualize the engraving map again but sat upright and focused his gaze on the square auction stage below. Timing it out, the auction was about to officially begin. After about 2 more minutes passed, a figure leapt from high above. Thump! After a heavy impact sound, the figure landed precisely on the stone auction platform. As he lifted his gaze and surveyed his surroundings, Song Kai got a clear look at the figure's appearance. At the same time, a flash of solemnity appeared in his eyes, and a hint of gravity surfaced beneath them. The man had white hair, and his beard was no exception. His age was clearly not young. What surprised him and the guests in the auction venue was the formidable oppressive aura exuding from the white-haired old man. Despite being of advanced years, the fluctuations of vitality within his body were exceptionally strong. At least LV-20 in guidance technique, a second-rank torch ship captain. After a brief moment of surprise, Song Kai quickly came to an understanding. With so many second-rank torch ship captains attending, if the Beihe auction couldn't present a figure with enough deterrent power, it would be difficult to maintain order in the subsequent proceedings. Indeed, this was the case. The white-haired elder on the auction stage not only had astonishing strength, but his identity was also far from simple. John Troz, the patriarch of the Troz family, one of the three major affiliated families of Beihe Mall, was now 280 years old. Although he was nearing the end of his life, it was precisely this that keyed into his formidable deterrent power. A second-rank torch ship captain at the peak of his power who didn't have many years to live, if truly angered, who could predict the extent of his frenzy? One should never provoke someone with one foot in the grave, for they have nothing left to lose. This logic is understood by all, so very few would dare to offend such individuals. Seeing that everyone had settled down, John Troz slowly began to speak. He was not only the deterrent of this auction, but also the host. The time has come. I declare the auction officially open. As he finished speaking, a staff member of the auction house came from behind the stage, and in an instant, nearly everyone's gaze fell upon the wooden box in the staff member's hands. It was clear that what the staff member was holding was the first auction item, and according to the procedures of most auction houses, the first item must be a fine piece that could stir the mood of the entire auction. The first item up for auction is a blue-quality engine, the Aurora thermal engine. The attribute diagram is as follows. Aurora thermal engine LV0 quality, blue consumption, 3 per second, spectral energy points. Energy supply, 24 per second, spectral energy points, post-overload buffer, 30 minutes. Energy pool, 3,000 points, can store 3,000 spectral energy points. Convertible. Aurora lava stone heart, up rank requirement. 4 strands of 0 rank floating land origin, 400 energy points, 4 0 rank life cores. After introducing the Aurora thermal engine, John Troz started the bidding. There is no set price for this Aurora thermal engine. Trade by barter only. Interested parties may use the bidding device on their seat to make an offer. Immediately, dozens of people in the auction house picked up the bidding devices and began to report their trade items through the devices to John Troz above. Of course, it might also be for the real owner behind the scenes who put forward the Aurora thermal engine. Honestly, Song Kai was quite interested. The Kongchong only lacked a high-quality engine component, and although a blue component couldn't be considered top quality, it was still a fine engine. If he could secure this Aurora thermal engine, he would then be able to continue enhancing the dark matter energy shield generator. Just over 20 days later, he was to explore the so-called Buluo civilization ruins with Shen Qing. It was said that there was no danger within the ruins, but Shen Qing had only explored the first level. Who knew whether the second level would also be free of danger? According to Song Chi's opinion, he naturally wanted to enhance the level of the dark matter energy shield generator as much as possible before heading to the ruins. But no matter how eagerly Song Kai desired to bid, he was destined to remain silent. The most important thing at the moment was to secure that upcoming blue-quality purifier component. Compared to the subsequent exploration of the ruins, the importance of the Zutian ruins market far outweighed it. The component was finally secured by a first-rank torch ship captain, leaving the other bidders sighing in disappointment. No one knows exactly what conditions allowed this person to trade for that blue engine. The second auction item, a magnetic field layer white energy shield, starting at 300 strands of 0 rank floating land origin with each bid not to be less than 10 strands of 0 rank floating land origin. Bidding starts now. The first blue quality, Aurora thermal engine, immediately elevated the auction to a climax, but the subsequent items were much more mundane. Of course, there were still a few small gems interspersed throughout to maintain the auction's excitement. This common auction tactic was no secret to anyone present, but the atmosphere in the room was, indeed, quite pleasant. After the first Aurora thermal engine, no other items had caught Song Chi's interest until the arrival of a certain item. Item 43, 200 tons of mercury crystal, starting at 1900 strands of zero-rank floating land origin, with each bid not to be less than 20 strands of zero-rank floating land origin. Upon hearing the words, mercury crystal, Song Chi's eyes finally sparkled with interest, as he quickly picked up the bidding device beside him. Mercury crystals are a warship enhancement resource at the mid-stage level, typically costing around 10 strands of zero-rank floating land origin per ton on the market. The reason for Song Chi's interest was that every enhancement of the dark matter energy shield generator required this resource, and he currently had nearly 100 tons of mercury crystal in stock. But each enhancement of his level 15 dark matter energy shield generator would consume dozens of tons, and 100 tons was nowhere near enough. 1980 strands of zero-rank floating land origin. No sooner had Song Kai entered his bid on the bidding device than the voice of John Troze from the auction stage below rang out. Bidder number 235 has bid 1980 strands. Is there anyone else who wishes to bid higher? Several minutes later, after several rounds of bidding, Song Kai managed to secure the 200 tons of mercury crystal with a final bid of 2060 strands of zero-rank floating land origin. However, the 200 tons of mercury crystal wouldn't be handed to him immediately. They would only be delivered after the transaction was completed and he had paid the corresponding floating land origin as per his bid. Afterwards, Song Kai waited for quite some time. Just when he began to wonder if Rock Troze was just stringing him along, that long-anticipated blue purifying component was finally placed on the auction stage. A blue-quality special component, abnormal status purifier, with the following attributes. Abnormal status purifier LV0 quality, blue consumption, 5 per second, spectral energy points. Effect: purification aura. Upon installation, the component will automatically generate a purification aura capable of purifying various negative states. Up rank requirement: 3 strands of floating land origin, 0 rank, 300 spectral energy points. As per the request of the consignor, this component is only available for trade via barter and does not support floating land origin transactions. With the fall of John Troze's voice, like the first blue engine, it quickly sparked a bidding war among many torch ship captains. Song Kai also picked up the bidding device once again, but this time he wasn't in a rush to bid. Instead, he was considering how many void crystals he should offer, and whether he should include first-rank void crystals as well. Since there was a restriction to trade by barter, the only things Song Kai had available to exchange were these void crystals. P.S. Currently at 1,200 followers, the hope for reaching the Sanjong isn't great, but one must still dream. I'm counting on all you handsome guys and beautiful ladies. Love you all. The hesitation stemmed from Song Chi's thoughts on the incident at the Troze Mechanical House a few days ago. After he left the shop that day, he noticed nearly 10 figures shadowing him. Regardless of any claims to the contrary, he simply couldn't believe it was unrelated to the Troze Mechanical House. Granted, the Troze Mechanical House had a reasonable interest in identifying him and tracking his whereabouts given the scarce resources like void crystals, but Song Kai couldn't help but take extra precautions, especially considering that the auctioneer below on the stage was the patriarch of the Troze family himself, prompting Song Kai to be wary. After much deliberation, Song Kai ultimately decided to use the void crystal. After all, among his possessions, the void crystal was the only item substantial enough to present. Not rushing to place his bid, Song Kai stood up and swiftly left the Tianhe auction house under the watchful eyes of the various onlookers. Several seconds later, a figure clad in a cloak and long robe returned along the same route and sat down in the seat Song Kai had been in before, also picking up the bid device next to the seat. 800 zero-rank void crystals. The puppet under the cloak tapped the bid device several times, and Song Kai successfully submitted his bid. Indeed, it was not Song Kai himself at the auction, but a fire peony soldier figurine controlled via a brainwave remote control system. Uncertain of the Troze family's urgent need for the void crystal and to guard against any potential outburst from John Troze, the second-rank torch ship captain conducting the auction, Song Kai had taken these precautions. However, what he didn't realize, or perhaps John Tros was simply that adept at concealing his motives, was that at the moment Song Kai submitted his bid, a subtle change flickered across John Tros's unperturbed expression, a fleeting sign expertly masked, yet his gaze stealthily scanned the crowd, with a sweeping glance inadvertently passing over seat number 235 where Song Kai was located. Song Kai had absolutely no inkling of this. Despite his vigilance, the difference in the level of existence between him and John Tros was too vast, and he couldn't detect the discreet glance sent his way, not with the enhanced perception granted by his level 7 guidance technique. Even though he was diligently practicing with the mythical mech imprint, he had only been at it for 2 months. After a brief wait, a voice came through the bid device, a response from the commissioner. Song Kai was somewhat elated. Regardless of whether the offer was accepted or not, the commissioner's response indicated that Song Chi's void crystals were seen as valuable. 800 rank void crystals are not enough. You'll need to offer a higher rank. Seeing the message on the bid device, Song Kai pondered for a while before sending another bid. Then how about 500 rank plus 100 first rank void crystals? The response came quickly this time. 600 rank plus 100 first rank, that's the final offer. Take it or leave it. Song Kai did the math in his head. According to the normal market price, 600 rank plus 100 first rank void crystals were equivalent to 1600 strands of first rank floating land origin, or 16,000 strands of 0 rank floating land origin. Of course, the actual value was likely a bit higher, but not by much, and this price was roughly equal to that of a blue quality component. And so, Song Kai ultimately agreed to the deal. Once both parties had agreed, John Tros, the auctioneer below, quickly announced the result. The abnormal status purifier, with blue quality, was officially won by Song Kai. Finally, Song Kai could relax completely. He just needed to wait for the auction to end, return to Zutian Ruins Market to install the abnormal status purifier, and with its blue level quality, purifying the mark left by the first rank void demon should be straightforward. But before that, there was one thing he had to take care of. He needed to change the engine, even if it was just a basic white one. The colorless quality spectral engine had too many restrictions, completely blocking any further enhancements for the Kang Chong. Regrettably, even after the final highlight item of the auction was revealed, no other engine components emerged, leaving Song Kai without an opportunity to bid. Before he could feel too disappointed, his attention was wholly captured by the highlight item now presented on the auction stage. Not just him. All the hundreds of torch ship captains in the auction house felt the same. In that moment, everyone understood why the auction had attracted 10 second-rank torch ship captains. Even though John Tros had yet to disclose the details about the final auction item, the dazzling purple light emanating from within the wooden box declared its importance to everyone present. The highlight item was, unmistakably, a purple-quality shipborne component. And it was certain that to draw the interest of so many second-rank torch ship captains, the attributes of this unknown purple component had to be quite exceptional, and certainly not one of those mediocre purple components from the White Tower Local Area Network Marketplace. Curious, all the torch ship captains watched as John Tros did not delay and revealed the attributes of the purple component right away. Strange object. Primogenitor blood. Quality, purple. Evolvable. 1. Red Cross Medical Pod. 2. Blood Light Protective Layer. 3. Scarlet Blood Clan Genetic Modification Pod incomplete. Remarks. A drop of primogenitor vampire's blood lost thousands of years ago, which has evolved over the long years into a purple relic with an extremely wide range of effects. All the captains present were somewhat surprised to see a drop of fresh blood shimmering with a purple glow before their eyes, which had not yet been converted into a shipborne component and still retained its form as a strange object. After examining the attributes of this strange object, the torch ship captains realized that the relic known as Ancestor's Blood could evolve into as many as 3 different shipborne components. Although once the evolutionary direction was confirmed, it could no longer be changed at will, unless the enhancement level was completely reset. There was no denying that this strange object offered a great deal of flexibility. Song Kai even guessed that all 10 second-rank torch ship captains attending the auction might find a use for this drop of ancestors' blood. John, your auction house must have tested it already. Please list the attribute diagrams for the 3 components it can be converted into, someone commanded. At that moment, the room fell eerily silent, and a deep male voice emanated from one of the upper-level private rooms. On the auction stage, John Troze nodded gently. Red Cross Medical Cabin LV0. Quality. Purple feature. Increase healing effect by 30%. Consumption. 7 per second effect. Increases the healing effect on bleeding internal and external injuries by 260%. Up rank requirement. 7 threads of 0 rank floating land origin, 700 spectral energy points. 1 drop of 0 rank living creature essential blood. Blood light protective layer LV0 quality, purple. Feature. After damage, shield value recovers 10 points per second. Consumption. 7 per second. Spectral energy points, defense, 17. Shield value. 170 its charge. 30s. Post-overload buffer, 1 hour. Up rank requirement. 7 threads of 0 rank floating land origin, 700 spectral energy points, 1 ton of blood source crystal. Scarlet Blood Clan Genetic Modification Cabin Defect LV0. Quality. Purple feature. Increases genetic modification success rate by 1%. Consumption. 7 per second. Spectral energy points. Effect. Modifies living creatures with the Scarlet Blood Clan's genetic material, with a success rate of 1%. Modification time. 1 hour. Buffer. 720 hours up rank requirement. 7 threads of 0 rank floating land origin, 700 spectral energy points, 1 drop of 0 rank Scarlet Vampire essential blood. After reviewing the 3 attribute panels, more than 90% of the captains immediately discounted the 3rd component. The reason for this was the terrifyingly low success rate of the Scarlet Blood Clan modification cabin due to its defective state. Although the success rate could be increased through strengthening and upgrading, the catch was that, apart from the floating land origin and spectral energy points, it also required a specific type of Scarlet Vampire essential blood for enhancement. There were not a few vampires bred within the Torch human civilization. As a species capable of bestowing longevity, this alien race, after successfully converting other living beings, could grant their converts extremely long lifespans, which made them creatures that many of the dying Torch ship captains often sought out. However, the difficulty of extending one's life through conversion was fairly high. The higher the rank of the Torch ship captain, the lower the probability of a successful conversion. Even if the conversion was successful, the chance of the vampire taking control and reversing the roles was equally frightening.